Dragons have shown up in tons of movies and shows over the years, but some are way bigger and more unforgettable than the rest. From fire-breathing giants to ancient beasts that rule entire kingdoms, here are the 10 biggest dragons ever seen on screen. Let's start with the fantastical Viking realm of DreamWorks' How to Train Your Dragon. The Bewilder Beast is introduced as a gargantuan alpha dragon that can physically command other dragons. Picture an enormous walrus-like creature with a crown of ice horns, and the power to spew blasts of ice powerful enough to freeze entire armies in seconds. This majestic beast typically provides for smaller dragons like a benevolent king, but if challenged, it becomes a force of absolute destruction. The conflict in How to Train Your Dragon 2 shows two Bewilder Beasts battling for alpha dominance. One raised cruelly in captivity, and the other living free. Watching them twist around each other in the ice-laden seas is visually stunning, and underscores the raw might that such a titan can bring to any fight. This gentle but fearsome colossus is around 648 feet long, and stands some 160 feet tall. Number 9. From the realms of Azeroth, we meet Deathwing the Destroyer, originally known as Neltharion, the Earth Warder. World of Warcraft fans will recall him not just for his vile personality and cunning mind, but for the sheer world-shattering scale of his appearances. During the Cataclysm expansion, Deathwing literally tore Azeroth apart, reshaping continents and scorching the skies with molten fury. His entire body is plated with elementium to contain the old god's destructive whispers that drove him mad, and to keep his own fiery magma-like energy from literally ripping him apart. He was once a protector of the world, but corruption turned him into one of the most devastating forces in Warcraft lore. Facing him means facing the possibility of cataclysm on a global scale. Volcanoes erupt, earthquakes rattle, and entire armies melt beneath his flame. When you see him in all his cinematic glory, you appreciate just how horrifying a broken, insane dragon aspect can be. Deathwing towers at about 330 feet tall, boasts a 500-foot body length, and a 1,200-foot wingspan. At number 8, Kaiser Ghidorah is the final form of a monster called Monster X in Godzilla Final Wars, transforming from a bipedal skeletal creature into a colossal, four-legged golden hydra. This monstrous evolution represents the ultimate weapon of the alien Zillions, and it's unleashed on an already battle-weary Godzilla in the movie's finale. Visually, Kaiser Ghidorah features 3 heads that differ slightly from one another, plus 2 whip-like tails that can hurl enemies around and suck energy from their foes. Watching him hurl Godzilla across Tokyo like a ragdoll at the climax of Godzilla Final Wars is a testament to just how powerful he is. Even though King Ghidorah is always top-tier destructive, Kaiser Ghidorah takes it a step further, mixing unstoppable alien tech and a savage streak that pushes Godzilla to his absolute limit. He stands at about 459 feet tall in Kaiser Ghidorah form. At number 7, Ghidorah by itself is already a legendary 3-headed dragon figure, but Mecha King Ghidorah ups the ante by combining the monstrous form with futuristic cyborg technology. After King Ghidorah suffered a devastating defeat, humanity, specifically people from the future, decided to rebuild him into Mecha King Ghidorah. All the unstoppable destructive force of King Ghidorah remains, and then some, because the metal plating, mechanical wings, and robotic middle head add new layers of firepower and resilience. In Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah 1991, Mecha King Ghidorah's arrival was a huge shock. At last, a creation that could genuinely go toe-to-toe with Godzilla. This mechanical behemoth design bristles with cables, cannons, and a terrifying anti-Godzilla grip. It's the ultimate if we can't beat them, fuse them with technology approach to monster warfare, capturing the pure spectacle that only a giant cyborg hydra can bring. Mecha King Ghidorah stands at about 559 feet tall. At number 6, we have the modern era's quintessential giant dragon, King Ghidorah, dubbed Monster Zero by Monarch in Legendary's Monsterverse. Ghidorah's reintroduction in Godzilla King of the Monsters gave us a triple dose of terror, with each head having its own borderline mischievous or downright sadistic personality. Every time you see him on screen, you're reminded he's not just a massive titan, he's a genuine alien threat from beyond Earth's ecosystem, firing gravity beams that tear apart everything in their path. King Ghidorah can whip up storms, drown cities in tidal waves, and stand toe-to-toe with Godzilla. The Monsterverse iteration introduces the concept that he can psychically awaken other titans to sow chaos across the globe, essentially crowning himself as the new alpha. The final showdown in Boston remains one of the most incredible monster brawls in recent cinematic history, ensuring that we'll never forget the absolute terror of 3 colossal heads screeching into the stormy night sky. This golden menace stands around 512 feet tall. At number 5, we move into the Monsterverse. Tiiamat, also known as Titanus Tiiamat, first appeared briefly in Godzilla King of the Monsters on a Monarch monitor, but she fully emerges in Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. This serpentine titan is an aquatic apex predator, fiercely territorial and mother to a smaller titan, Known as Lahamu, Tiamat's domain is the ocean, including icy regions where she's perfectly adapted to move through frigid waters with ease. She spews a phosphorescent ink that can disorient foes, and her serpentine body is lined with eerie glowing fins, giving her a ghost-like quality when she glides through the depths. It's no small feat that she crosses paths with Godzilla himself in an explosive territory dispute. Despite her terrifying aggression and protective instincts, Tiamat meets a tragic end when she refuses to submit. Tiamat measures about 847 feet in length. At number 4, another spectacular dragon-like kaiju in the Toho roster is Manda. Known as the guardian deity of the lost underwater kingdom of Mu, Manda sports a serpent's body, but wields enough power to entangle even the most advanced submarines in the franchise. Like the Guntango, this serpentine monster generally appears as a loyal guardian, under the control of whichever civilization or alien race is pulling the strings, though occasionally Manda roams free, toppling bridges and rattling throughout the oceans. One memorable scene in Ankalagon sees Manda coiling around the Gotengo in a life-or-death struggle, until it eventually gets electrocuted. Like many Toho creatures, Manda has come and gone in different eras, mind control plots, and cameo roles, but every time we see it, we're reminded of how chilling the idea of a sea dragon can be, especially if it's closing in on you in deep water. Manda is around 984 feet long. At number 3, dipping into Japanese mythology, Yamatano Orochi is an 8-headed serpent that has graced various Toho films, like The Three Treasures and Orochi, the 8-headed dragon. With 8 fearsome heads, countless horns, and an array of slithering tails, this mythic serpent is as iconic as it is terrifying. In some versions, it's more snake-like, while in others, it takes on a bulkier, draconic body with stubby legs, but multiple gnarly spikes covering its scales. Despite the design shifting from film to film, its core identity never wavers. An ancient, unstoppable force reminiscent of the primal terror in Japanese folklore. Most retellings of the Orochi legend involve a heroic figure, often a deity, needing divine swords or powers to seal its fate. The cinematic portrayals uphold that impossibly massive presence, exemplifying that if you're dealing with an 8-headed monster, you'd better come prepared for battle or divine intervention. Yamatano Orochi reaches about 984 feet in overall length. At number 2, switching to the Monster Hunter universe, Dalomador is an elder dragon that stretches across the landscape in giant serpentine coils. Monster Hunter is notorious for throwing insanely huge creatures at players, but Dalomador might take the crown. Its entire body is like a giant snake draped over mountains, armed with barbed quills, a rattling tail tip reminiscent of a rattlesnake, and the power to literally reshape landscapes. Watching it coil and slither in the game is a visual treat, though if you're the one hunting it, it's more of a visual nightmare. Dalomador's main attacks include summoning meteor-like projectiles and using its massive scaly tail to slam the battlefield. It's the kind of fight that makes you remember how small humans really are in the grand scheme of a monstrous ecosystem, especially an ecosystem roamed by titans the size of skyscrapers. This monster measures about 1,445 feet in length. At number 1, if you're a fan of J.R.R. Tolkien's groundbreaking Middle-earth lore, you've probably heard of Ankalagon the Black. Quite possibly the granddaddy of all dragons, he appears at the tail end of the First Age during the War of Wrath. Imagine the forces of the Valar marching to finally overthrow the Dark Lord Morgoth, only for him to release his ultimate secret weapon in the form of Ankalagon, leading an entire fleet of fire-breathing drakes. This dragon is so massive that his mere fall from the sky supposedly destroyed the peaks of Thangorodrim, which were basically volcanic mountains the size of small continents. It's a true testament to Tolkien's epic storytelling that a single creature could recap such unstoppable power, and then vanish from history after a single confrontation. And as Gandalf famously pointed out, even Ankalagon's breath of fire wasn't hot enough to melt the One Ring. So we're talking about a beast of legendary proportions that still had limits. He's believed to be several thousand meters tall and easily thousands of feet in height. And that concludes our countdown of the 10 biggest dragons in all of fiction across movies, series, and even core parts of video game lore. So which dragon on this list is your personal favorite? Whatever you pick, let me know in the comments. See you next time. Bye!